Bible stories with details you may not have picked up on. Today's episode, we're talking about the flood. We'll call them the pancake earthers, but no doubt you've heard them say some obnoxious claims about oh, well, you can't get to Mars or the moon because you'll hit the firmament. Whether or not we are capable of actually leaving, whether or not any of that's real, that's beside the video. The point I'm making is that they don't know what the firmament is. In Genesis 1:7, God said, "Let there be a space to separate the waters on the earth from the waters above the earth, and we will call that space the sky." Now, in the King James Bible, the word sky is translated as firmament. So quite literally, the word firmament means sky. But at the time of creation, the Bible does teach that there was water above the earth, meaning that we had, and science has proven this, we had an additional layer of atmosphere. The Bible teaches that that additional layer would have been water, or specifically, it would have been frozen water, ice. The term that's been commonly applied to this is the ice canopy. We even see this in ancient Jewish texts where they're talking about the ice that used to surround the earth. Remember this, it's very important. Now, moving into the actual flood account, God sees the world, and he sees that every single person is desperately wicked in every thought, act, and deed, and it even goes so far as to say that God regretted making people. Now, can God actually regret things? Of course not. He's expressing that in a way that we would understand the emotion that he's feeling in regards to how evil people are. In Genesis 6:4, we learn about something called the Nephilim. So it says in Genesis 6:4 that the sons of God saw the daughters of men and they bore children to them, and those were the Nephilim. So these were fallen angels who had sex with humans and created half human, half demon offspring that were called the Nephilim. Now, when the Bible's referring to the sons of God, it's referring to angels. We see that in Job. It's not referring to the Son of God. The Son of God is different than the sons of God. The Son of God is Jesus, the monogenes theos, the unique and one-of-a-kind Son of God. Sons of God is usually in the Old Testament in reference to angels, or it can be in reference to Christians who are adopted as the sons and daughters of God according to Romans 8. So we have demons sleeping with human women producing offspring, which means that the genetics of the world, the actual DNA is altered, it is messed up, it is damaged. Now, this is important only because of what I'm about to say next. God saw Noah, and he saw that Noah, unlike everyone else, was righteous. Now, a lot of people will think that means sinless, but God can't contradict himself, and he says that there is no one who does good, no, not one, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. There is no one who does righteous. There is no one who seeks after God. Jesus himself in Mark 10:18 says that there is no one good but God. So whenever God sees Noah and he sees that he's righteous, he's not seeing Noah saying, "Oh, this guy is sinless, I'm going to save him." God is seeing Noah and saying, "Oh, this guy's bloodline, his DNA is still good. It is still pure. It is still righteous. It has not been infected the same way that everyone else has." So Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their wives are told to build a floating tank. That's what the ark was. It's not this boat that they're able to sail or steer or guide. It was basically just an indestructible box that they were supposed to get inside of. And God said that he would gather 2 of every kind of animal to put in there. Now, 2 of every kind does not mean 2 of every species. So for example, he got 2 canines, 2 felines. He didn't get 2 Pomeranians and 2 German Shepherds and 2 Labs. He got 2 dogs, 2 canines. And then through the means of adaptation, that has created subspecies and different dog breeds over the past 4,400 years. And yes, that is fully possible. Now, if you think about it, there's a lot of different animals on this earth. There's a lot of different kinds of animals. So what God would do is he would get the babies. He would bring the babies. So when people are like, "Did dinosaurs make it on?" It's fully possible that dinosaurs made it on, given that the biggest dinosaur egg is smaller than a football, meaning that baby dinosaurs are, guess what? Really small. So yes, that's fully possible, but that is a video for another time. Now, the Bible says that whenever the flood started, that the waters underneath the earth came out and the waters above the earth fell down. Now, underneath the earth, we've discovered in the last 100 years that there are countless oceans and rivers underneath the earth's crust, which means that the amount of water that you see on earth as the ocean isn't even a portion of what we have in the earth. But then it says that the waters above the earth fell down. Now, I want you to think about that. If we have this gigantic canopy of ice that is just miles and miles thick, and that starts to melt. It's going to create rain, possibly enough rain to make it rain for 40 days and 40 nights. And it's going to be enough water for the entire Earth to be completely flooded for 6 months. But then say that there were parts of the Earth that were still so cold that the rate of melting was a lot slower. Perhaps that if that gigantic block of ice fell down on the very northern part of the Earth and the very southern part of the Earth, that those ones may not have melted, and maybe those ones may have stayed there. So maybe the polar ice caps are actually pieces of that additional layer of atmosphere that hasn't melted yet. But they've been melting over the past 4,400 years. If you look at the ocean between Alaska and Russia, there is this little weird channel that basically looks like a hallway. If the ocean's water was a little bit more shallow right there, a little bit in retrospect to the entire thing, it's going to be a couple hundred feet, but still, looking at it a couple hundred years ago, you would literally be able to walk across that from the Asian continent to North America completely and totally fine. But then the oceans came up more and more and more. But doubling back, the Bible says that at the end of it, that the waters receded back into the earth, meaning that those underground oceans and those underground rivers and stuff like that, those pulled a lot of that water back inside of it. So what we have left on earth as an ocean is kind of the remains of that. See, in the pre-flood world, there wouldn't have been an ocean the same way that there was. There would have been rivers, lakes, big lakes, stuff like that. But the quantity of water that we have on earth, that's going to be mostly from that water above the earth that fell down and melted. But in the parts of the earth that it didn't melt, which is the North Pole and the South Pole, those pieces of pure ice, that pure H2O, that pure unadulterated glacier water, that has been slowly melting over time over the past 4,400 years since the flood. So then God had the pure DNA of Noah and his wife and his children to create everyone else. Now, fun scientific fact for you. Tracing through the Y chromosome, and this was discovered within the last 4 or 5 years. Tracing through the Y chromosome, we see that every single person on Earth, regardless of your skin color, every single person on Earth in every continent has one common ancestor dating 4,400 years ago. That is a fact. That is Noah. So feel free to look that up. It is incredible. So slowly and slowly, we have science constantly proving that the Bible is true. We have science that is completely and totally starting to catch up to what the Bible told us so long ago. People have been liking the Bible stories, so the next one that we're going to do is going to be the Exodus. We're literally going to be going in line of my tattoo. We did the fall. We just did the flood. The next thing that we're going to do is the Exodus. Specifically, we're going to talk about the 10 plagues and the death of the firstborn. After that, let me know what you want. I've heard people asking for Samson, so that's definitely going to be a Bible story we go over. If there's a specific Bible story that you want to learn about through this, let me know, and we'll make a video on it. God bless.